my God. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
This is such a special thing for me. And I have to say thank you so much for agreeing to do the episode 50 on the podcast, Hey Stella. What better way than to celebrate 50 episodes than with my one and only acting family?
Yay.
Okay.
It's so nice to see all of you. So I'm going to start with giving yourselves the chance to introduce who you are, your names, and one or two things that you want to say about yourselves. Let's start with Joanne.
Okay, my name is Joanne Eichel. I've been acting with Ella for about 6 years. All I can say is I started out absolutely terrified, and now I actually crave it and can't wait to get back on stage when there's any kind of break. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm just delighted to be here with you all, and looking forward to talking more about this acting process. That fascinates me.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Let's hear from Loredana.
Hello. So I'm Loredana Puca, and by the accent, you can see that I'm Italian, proudly. And I've been living here in New York. It's been already 8 years, and I started to work with Miha, I think it was on 2019, right before the pandemic. And I always been emotional about theater and always wanted to do it. I did it when I was a teenager in Napolitan dialect, and it fascinated me so much that I really wanted to continue. But then for some reason, life, work, and everything, I stopped for a few years. And then I met Miha, and this passion revived in me again. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Okay, let's hear from one of the boys. Let's hear from Jonathan.
I'm Jonathan Stein. I'm a lifelong New Yorker. I've been in the acting class with Mia for, I don't even know how long it's been, like, I don't know how many years now, lost track. But it's always fun. It's always something different, but I feel like I've learned a lot from it and grown from it. So, yeah.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Let's hear from Stephanie.
Okay, I'm Stephanie Stokes. I'm sort of a newbie to this class, even though I think I've been doing it for the last 2 years. Very interesting thing with acting. It really makes you dive into your emotions and why you do certain things and why you present yourself to the world a certain way. So taking this class just gives me more information and more things to really think about. And it actually is sort of like self-exploration. You learn things about yourself that you didn't really know that you were doing a lot of times. So, and I enjoy the group. I didn't realize that I missed you guys until I saw you. And then I was like, oh my God. And all of the women have on makeup. Isn't that phenomenal, right? Exactly. Never get to wear it because of those darn masks, but you know. So just, you know, glad to see everybody.
Glad to see you, Steph, and we miss you too. And it's so true with the makeup. No matter how much we say, you know, oh, let's just be authentic and let's just do original.
No, put that makeup on.
Authentic and original with makeup on.
Right.
And yeah, exactly. It's so nice. Okay, thank you, Steph. Kyle.
Hello, my name is Kyle Rudnick, and as you can tell by my accent, I'm from Germany. I'm just kidding, I'm not. I'm of German and Puerto Rican descent. I also live on Roosevelt Island, as all 5 of you do, because that's where we're calling in from, or at least most of us are. And to me, theater is, I don't know, it's just a way of life for me. I thought what Stephanie said was so spot on about what it is. And I find it to be so meaningful and helpful in my everyday life. I don't do acting as a career. I do it as an outlet for myself. And I find it very therapeutic, but I also find it very helpful in my everyday work. And yeah.
I'm so glad that you actually just went into the direction of what my question was going to be, Kyle. And if you would go into that in more detail, I was going to ask you guys, knowing that this is not your first profession, none of you is working only as actors. You guys are professional people who are also doing acting. And I have to add, doing it amazingly. I know I comment all the time when I see your work, all of you, and I say, oh my God, I wish there were cameras and a crew to capture all the brilliant and the powerful and the transformative moments, because they are so much more powerful and raw and specific than what you watch from the professionals on TV or the big screen or all these other platforms. You're doing it, it's helping you in your personal life. Exactly. What do you mean by that?
All right. Well, for me, I identify as someone with a learning disability. So I have a reading disability, but also auditory processing disorder, which affects my speech. And so in my job requires me to do a lot of speaking, off the cuff speaking with all different sorts of people. And so what I found helpful in this is actually through improvisation. Scripted work, there's a different element that is helpful, but particularly with improvisation helps me speak like I'm doing right now. I don't have a script in front of me. So it helps me think about what I want to say, how I want to say it, and structure the way that I want to say it. And it's helped in my work more so verbally, because a lot of my work is meetings and relationship building. And that's where I found it most helpful.
Do you find that the improvisation, as you said, is a little bit more liberating than the scripted form?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love scripted work, but if I've had a bad day, I would much rather do improvisation versus scripted work.
I think you're amazing at improvisation. And the reason why I ask and I comment on that is because usually majority of the people, of the actors, they find improvisation to be the most difficult, more difficult than the scripted. They feel much more safer with the structure of a script and the scenario that's given to them. So for you to be able to say that improvisation is much easier, that's to be appreciated, because I've seen your work, and yes, I know from your practice that it is brilliant. So it's exciting to hear somebody say that improvisation is more liberating than what the usual would be that other people would consider. Great. I feel like I'm not being myself. What the hell are you doing, Mihaela? Just relax. I feel like I'm so tense and I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? Same question. Let's go.
We're family, remember?
I know we're family. And then I'm like looking at myself. Where's my circles? Where the hell is my, do I see my eyes? And I'm like, no. And then I wanted to show my boobs, but I can't. I have to choose. Do I go like this? Do I do the whole episode?
I know, you always
this?
did the boob shot.
Or do I do the episode like
It's a difficult choice.
it's a difficult choice. Okay, let's hear now from Jonathan. Same question. How has it helped you more specifically in your personal life?
Not with the improv, because like you said, I'm one of those people who hates improv. But it helped with my personal life.
I have to say that I understand that you say that you're one of those people, but I don't think that was proven in practice on your feet on the stage. I think that you are really, really funny and you are hilarious and you are so in the moment. Oh, I don't like doing improvisation, which is okay that you do say that. So you speak out and then you go and do it and you surprise all of us. So you might have the understanding or you have the thought process that tells you that you're afraid, but when you go to do it, you're amazing at it.
Well, that's what I can say. It's helped in my life, because a lot of stuff I don't like doing, I know that if I actually go and do it, that I'm actually capable of it. So
What's the satisfaction of doing something that you're afraid of, and then you do it and you see the reaction from the rest of the people in the class who become the audience when watching you? What's the satisfaction when you hear the feedback?
well, it does feel extremely good to hear, to know that everyone else liked it a lot better than I felt going into it. So
It's a sharing experience, That's why we call our little group the acting family, because Alan Burstyn says acting is like a communion between the actors and then the audience, which happens to be us watching one of you working. That's our communion. That's good. Who wants to go next? Let's hear from Stephanie. Same question, Stephanie.
Okay, I like improv because there is no script. I could say whatever I want. I can say whatever comes in the moment. And sometimes I don't do that in life, because sometimes you can't say whatever you want. So, but this gives me that freedom.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm free. I can say whatever I want. I can jump all over the stage and make a complete fool out of myself. And I'm sure I've done that a couple of times. Forgive me, guys, but it happens. Or as they used to say, ham it up. You can, it's just more fun. I like the scripted work as well, because that gives you a chance to really get deep into the characters, what they're saying, their emotions, and how does that relate with my emotions. A lot of these characters, that Nina, I know all about her. So I can feel the character more, but the improv is more like play to me. And sometimes you just need to play. So I give myself a play day.
Stephanie, a little bit more about what you said of the character Nina. You're talking about Nina, the play that we worked on. That's a interpretation of the Chekhov Nina. And when you say, I know that Nina, are you surprised that having worked on Nina, are you surprised from where you were in the beginning, where maybe did you think you were so far away from her, to finding out the more that you worked on her that there's so many more similarities than differences?
That's exactly it. And I think that's something that you point out to us when we're in the class. A lot of times we're thinking that, this character, at first, when I first started to read it, I didn't like it. I didn't like her. I didn't like, the whole thing. And then as I got into it, I began to see certain similarities, or what I would be like if I was in that type of situation. So, and then when you try to act it out, then you bring a piece of you, but it's like you connect with the people, and like you said, it's about connecting. So if I connect with her, and then I can connect with you, that's the idea. So, but first you got to connect with the character. So I like both.
I think the definition which you reminded us in one of the classes, people seem to misunderstand what acting is. They think that it's pretending or faking some parts of yourself in order to give to the characters, when it's actually the opposite, is living those real feelings that come out of you in the fictional circumstances, in the given circumstances. There's more honesty and there's more truth and more credibility that actors must reveal than the majority of the people who don't know, because they haven't taken acting, and there's not a lot of work that's being shown out there about the work of the actors, the true work that you guys do. It still drives me crazy when I watch experts on TV, and they're acting experts, and they're like, oh, Amber with Johnny Depp trial, she gave the performance of a lifetime. And I go, don't associate Amber Heard with acting. That's like putting down all the great actors that I know, people that I know, like you, and all the way up to Johnny Depp. Don't associate the performance of a lifetime, because that's not what it is. Because they say she pretended so well. She couldn't even do that.
Not well enough, because she was pretending. So
it's a line that's being blurred all the time. For the people who don't know, what do you mean when you get into the character more? Do you mean when you put yourself physically on stage to do it, rather than just reading the script?
Sometimes it's reading the script. And, if I experiment with how I want to say a line, do I want to say it this way, or do I want to say it angrily, or do I want to be playful? And then that's when I get into all the nuances of her, and then whatever the person that I'm speaking to, my partner on stage, I'll read their line, and then I'll try to play back and forth with it. So I really try to get into both people's heads.
For as long as you don't judge yourself, because you know there's no
Well,
wrong, no matter how many ways you try it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's really good. Let's go to Joanne. Same question, Joanne, personally, specifically influenced, helped,
So,
benefited, discoveries, personal discoveries in your life due to acting?
yeah, I think I alluded to this in the introduction. I think I met you at a fundraiser for the theater, and I asked you what you did, and you told me that you taught acting at the theater. And my first reaction was, I could never do that. Hate public speaking, don't want to get on stage. And you said, and I'll never forget it, you said, well, that's why you have to do it. And I thought about that for like a couple of months. And then I signed up for the September class. And then I sat in class, and I'll never forget this, like just terrified, like, don't call on me. I don't want to go on stage. Don't call me. Or I'd look at my watch hoping that the time would run out and the session would be over and I wouldn't have to go on stage. So, and then through the years, really, I crave it now. I really love the opportunity to perform. But I think how it's affected my personal life is that I feel more courageous. You know, that the fact that I got through that fear and repeatedly would get up on stage, being frightened most of the time, and then going through it. And then I think the joy after it, and that seems to be, you know, it's like terror, relief, joy. And then I think it's really affected my personal life. I feel more courageous. And very literally, I was just thinking, like, I went off in 2018, let me think, 2018 and 2019 to Italy by myself, you know, rented a house for a month, signed up for Italian classes, stayed 2 months at both times. And, you know, just kind of, it gave me courage in a different way than I had known before.
I think it's so needed for everybody. I keep wanting to inform the whole globe of how important it is for anybody to take acting because of what you just said, Joanne, because it gives you the courage, or to take the fear that we all have of, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to make a fool of myself. I'm going to look stupid. And what Stephanie said and what Kyle said and Jonathan up to now, acting says, I welcome all of that. In acting, you are welcome with all your humanity. We accept it, we embrace it, because those people who end up watching you guys in a class or on the film or wherever, the performance that you did, that we all did, some of us did in Platonov when we had the full show, we had the audiences and you got the understanding of what it's like to be in front of audiences. The permission that they get from you to be courageous, to be okay with making fools of themselves, is because you allow yourselves to do those things in front of them. It's not because you portray a cardboard-like human being with a facade.
The trick is that you don't know that when you start out. You don't know that that you're going to get through to the other side of it. So I think the fear, for me anyway, is always there. Even now I say I crave it, but I'm still anxious.
Right.
Because you don't know. And it's only when you push, or you push us really, when you push through it, and then you realize that it's accepted. Like, you are making a fool of yourself, but it's okay. But you have to like go through it every time.
Every time, right?
Yeah.
Every time. But I think that's what the practice comes in from. The practice that we also then can use in everyday life. Who doesn't wake up in everyday life to say, I have fear today that I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to take the subway because of the stabbings and everything else. I have a fear that some loved one might not be well because of coronavirus. But that doesn't mean that you shut yourself in a house and you don't do anything, or you don't go on living. So acting, because it requires of you to keep practicing once a week, you know, depending how many times we meet for session or class, it's almost like it gives you the practice that you then can use in everyday life.
It's true.
I think that I had characters in my life that guided me through the most difficult times. And if I weren't paying attention to those characters or imagine myself and said, what if I were the character that doesn't have the choice to stay locked inside the apartment? That character has to go on, because that character, that human being, is responsible to so many people, the audience. So you don't have that choice. What do? You make the step outside and you go, because the play is not over. My life is not over yet. Or you decide that you want to give up hope. The only thing that you have to have is acting, on top of everything that you guys spoke so well of. Do not give up hope. Somebody said, if you give up hope as a character, you might as well not come on stage. Don't come. Because people are not going to care for people who give up hope. You see characters who cry and they have real tears. Another misconception of what acting is. People think, oh, if people can produce tears, that must be real. How many times have you not watched stage actors or film actors? They're crying real tears, or like human beings on TV. I don't care, dude, lady, I don't care that you're crying. Stop crying, because the victim is there. There's no hope in trying to wipe the tears. They're crying as actors and they're leaving the tears come off their faces, when in real life you would wipe them because you don't want the people to see you, and you go on to the next beat in life or on stage. So it's, just because somebody cries, it doesn't mean that that's a great, it's got to come from a place of the source within the true self of who you are, the depth of the soul. The more you go into your depth of the soul, the more authentic and original you will find that territory to be, and the more universal you will become, and you will be understood. That's what I think. The more you try to be general and to conform to what society wants you to be and become like everybody else, the more you're going to push people away, because they're not going to relate to a general thing. Oh my God, you guys got me started. You know how you get me started? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to not talk. Good. Loredana, same question.
Yeah, no, first, how I apply acting in my everyday life, as you said, as a professional. To be honest, acting for me is giving me the confidence to get on stage, even from like a scientist perspective. So I need to go on stage multiple times presenting data, and how you present them can also affect how the audience will receive them, if they will listen to you, if they will, you might have the most wonderful data, but if you don't know how to express yourself, how to present them, they will not reach the audience that you wish for. And I think with acting, what I learned is really like, I stand strongly in what I want to say, and I always speak loud, clear, and make sure that the audience is like embracing what I'm saying. I think this really comes from the acting that we do, that I used to do when I was a kid. You have to listen to me because I'm speaking. So there's no way that you check your phone or you distract. I'm talking, and so you listen. And this is something that I see it, and I see it also like, in conferences. It's like, you are talking and I wanted to distract myself, but no, I wanted to listen to the next page, the next thing. So I really need to thank the acting for this. Then I was also thinking about improvisation versus the character. And I also want to bring up like something that maybe is more related to me as not English speaker, is that improvisation for me as another level of difficulty. And I still love it, because at the end, what I discover about me is amazing. It's worth the job. But the fact of like fastly thinking in a language that is not mine, and creating a new story, and to be fast and try to say the right thing, be careful to the grammar, to the like all this type of thing that's come in my hand like in a millisecond, I will say. They always come with improvisation, and always improvisation it's more stressful for me because of this. But I also enjoy the challenge. So it's like each time that you suggest to do improvisations, I'm fighting toward, okay, I'm scared I will say something that doesn't have any meaning, or it's not right or anything. And then the fact that I'm actually into the character, and so I will go for it, whatever it will take. Different for me is when we go to the actual character in a script. I enjoyed it for also another reason, not only because it's already written there, but because it gives me the freedom of being myself without being myself, meaning that in that character I can be the cripple, I can be an evil person, I can be like the most romantic person in the world, all these type of things that maybe they are already inside me, but the fact that you will be like free to express them, and above all in that moment you can decide to be that part of you. You can kind of be like, this is Loredana and this is the other Loredana, but that this time is like the evil person of this play or something else. The possibility of switching between my different emotions, personalities, characters. I love the script for this.
You reminded me when we were doing Tennessee Williams, because you spoke of having a physical disability, and I was thinking of the character. What was
Laura.
Laura, who's being taken care of in a way that she's not being considered to be like a full human being, and they're trying to marry her off and blah blah blah. I'm not going to go into the play. And you, Loredana, and Joanne, I remember Joanne was playing the mother and you were playing the daughter, and we were talking about how to get into the physical aspect of someone with a disability, to be able to have empathy for all these other people who might look different than we are, or who might present themselves different at first sight as an actor, because you put yourself into those different parts of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
They're not two parts of who you are. They're not three. They're an infinite number of parts that we as humans are. And the ongoing process of actors, as you, Loredana, has described that, and the rest of you, is that you continue to find those parts and bring them to light.
Yeah.
In a safe environment, which could be the stage doing an improvisation, or it could be the character, which allows you maybe even more because you have the structure and the permission to go wild, knowing that you're not going to hurt yourself, you're not going to hurt your partners on stage. So in real life, you don't have that safety, almost, because the script is not yet written. Where when you are given a character in a script, you can go wild because you have that liberty within the structure. The chaos within the structure is what gives us that courage, Joanne, or that inspiration, Stephanie, to want to be bold and to want to make a fool of yourself, or to overcome your speaking or public speaking, or to overcome your fear of doing improvisation. At the same time, Loredana, that you were talking about having Italian as your first language and English as your second, I'm in the same category, but with Romanian. You know what else, on top of what you said, that it gives you that ultra task to be able to challenge yourself more. But it also made me realize from watching you with so many powerful moments that sometimes understanding a language, understanding what you're saying doesn't even matter. I care about your behavior on that stage. And this is for all of you. When you guys sometimes, and you've seen in the films that I captured of all of you with those riveting moments in all of you, sometimes pauses when you're saying absolutely nothing are so much more powerful than having to think about, oh, do I speak Italian? Do I speak English? Do I speak Romanian? Can they understand me? It's like, no, there's no need for language, which is also so powerful. To see if an actor is a great actor, you have to mute the sound on TV. And if you understand what he's doing, then that's great acting.
You made me speak Italian, like just express yourself, say what you want to say in Italian. And I was amazed that you guys were following, even though I was rambling sentences in Italian, but I could see that you as audience, you were still with me on that stage. And that I think it's a little bit of what you just said.
And Loredana, the other aspect of engaging with the audience is, do you know that now people are starting to realize the importance of knowing acting and knowing the relationship with the audiences? Look in politics, what's happening. It's not about who tells the truth. It's about who knows how to be a better public speaker, like Kyle said, and who can convince the audience of their lies. If you are a public speaker, politician who is an entertainer, you can convince a whole audience of dangerous lies, which is letting us know that acting is so powerful, but more people need to understand the power of it and use it to disrupt for good instead of disrupting for bad.
Ronald Reagan was an actor and he's the president. And we all know what happened when he was the president, but anyway.
Another one that's leading a country against the Russian invasion, the Ukrainian president.
Ah, didn't know that.
He was an actor. He was an actor, full-time actor, full-time, making fun of Putin. You know, a lot of people say, yeah, okay, this might be, you know, out of reach to say that Putin got so upset that he was making fun of him. But a lot of people are like, Putin, these mega crazy narcissistic behavior personalities get offended by a lot of things. I mean, not to say that's the only thing, but I'm just relating what you were saying in agreement and just adding to the importance of what you were saying about the audience, Loredana. I mean, how many times we, you know, go on stage and I ask you guys, who are you talking to? Are you talking to the real audience, or are you talking to the audience, to another imaginary person who's not there? Because you have to be so specific. You have to take the audience in if you're going to relate to the people who are really in front of you. Or if it's another person, then you really have to make that person real to you. It's still about real. You have to create that person to be real. Next. The next question that I have, if you were to choose one moment, as far as you can remember from the class. Oh, and I have to say, I should have said this at the beginning. Our acting family, we came together due to us now being all on Roosevelt Island. Kyle said that, but also we have to say thank you so much to the Main Street Theater and Dance Alliance on Roosevelt Island, which is the space for us to be able to gather, and that's where we came together, Main Street Theater and Dance Alliance. If you were to choose one moment only from what you can remember from your work that surprised you as a person, as a human, what would that moment be? It can be the class that you remember or a moment, whoever wants to go first. And what exercise, if you remember, or technique. How are you guys doing? Is everybody like okay, or are you bored?
No,
No, fine.
no, not at all. Thinking.
I'm really excited. I'm so excited about this. You know, I could do this if I had like digital team of people who would be working for me. I'd be on TV like 24 hours. And Jeremy goes, oh my God, that's not a good sign. You're such a narcissist. And I'm a narcissist who knows is a narcissist. There's a difference.
Exactly.
If somebody asked me to talk about what I do, Jeremy says, I would need 1 hour and then I would have nothing else to say. What the hell do you keep talking about?
Oh, God, that's funny.
Anyway, okay. So who's remembering of a moment? Let's go, Joanne.
So for me, it was the animal exercise.
I knew you were going to say that because that's still in my head. It's not in my head. It's imprinted in the skull. It's going to be with me when I die, and my skull and my skeleton is going to be there. I'm still going to have that memory imprinted. That's how freaking amazingly beautiful, extraordinary it was. And you know what? Before I let you finish, the new movie with Emma Thompson, where she's bearing her physical self, and I was so looking forward to watching this movie. It took me 3 days to watch it because it was so bad. And the whole time I was thinking, oh my God, Joanne in this role would have killed it. Joanne already in the years that you've been doing this work, I have seen you take so much bigger risks than they did on this freaking movie, where they had the budget for it, where they had the cameras around it, where they had practice with people who are doing acting all the time, and they did not go for it. I want my hair to be pulled out with my extensions. Not my extensions, but the hair I'll pull out, but the extensions stay. But that's how angry I was, Joanne. Go ahead.
So thinking back on it, I remember not conceiving of a specific animal at all, but just starting to growl and distort my face and get down on the ground,
Ooh.
use my hands. And it was just an amazingly powerful, freeing moment that I totally surprised myself. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing, where it was coming from, but it was just a strength, And I always go back to this gesture, which was part of it, which was, but it was also not caring that my face was distorted and probably ugly. And yeah, it was a very powerful opportunity to feel that strength.
And I think it was also you giving yourself the full commitment to go to the animal exercise, because if I see people do the animal exercise and they're tapping into it a little bit because they still want to keep the ugly face to the side, they still want to look pretty or keep the public persona. Like you said, the reason why we were so surprised when watching, and it was almost like I did not even recognize Joanne. I'm like, who is this part of Joanne that I've never seen before? The physicality, you transforming yourself and giving yourself the permission to physically become the animal, then change your inner life. It took you to a place that a growl that came out was a different voice than the voice that I recognized.
True. Yeah, but I have to say that part of being able to do that is that we've created as a group, a safe place. I don't hesitate to do it knowing you guys aren't going to just laugh at me, that you're going to watch and listen and understand. So it's really a safe atmosphere that we've all created, I think, for each other.
Do you feel like you use that at all in real life? The animal technique, the animal exercise, for example, do you use it not conscious of it? Do you feel that subconsciously you go there or adjust it to fit real life?
I don't know that I think of it in those terms, but I do feel more assertive in general to, say what I want to say, or if I feel I've been wronged in a situation, to just be more assertive and say, this is wrong, you have to fix this, whatever it is. I feel like it tapped into a strength, it tapped into a ferocity, really, that now I know exists.
I also feel that it gave you, just from my understanding and from what I watch and see when I see your work, when you were working recently on the private moment, on the Nina variations private moment, and then your private moment, and the seduction, when you went into seduction, we all have an issue about our sexuality. As you know, society is so regulated in so many ways, or depending on the way that we grew up. And when we associate seduction, if somebody tells me, oh, seduce me, what do you mean seduce you? Why would I want that? I don't know how to do that, because it has to do with my background. It has to do with my dad, who's a priest, at the altar. It has to do with my mom, who never talked to me about my body. And I felt that your seduction scene in the private moment was also having to do, even if not directly with the animal exercise, but I felt that the movements, in the way that you were able to again surprise us, in the way that you went for it. It's a difficult thing to do. I told you guys, I do so many more things that are courageous in front of you than I do in front of people that are my family and I know. Because of the safe environment that you talked about, and the permission, and the fact that we're all kind of putting ourselves in the same situation. We're not watching the other person and we're just sitting back as like judges and saying, oh, you did well, oh, you didn't do well. I don't like feedback to be, oh, this was good, this was not. It's not about that. It's about what you saw, without being critical of what you saw. So I felt that there was a connection to the animal with the seduction. Do you feel at all that maybe?
No, I do. I think there were even moments in it that
Yes,
those gestures came,
of the cat,
from the growl,
the tigress,
or come to me, kind of. But I also feel like that is challenging as being, the oldest person in the group, and I think it feels like it's risky. It feels risky but safe to do it in this group again, because I feel like even though you guys are younger, I feel like you're accepting of whatever I do on stage. Again, it feels like a safe place to explore those dimensions of myself.
I encourage everybody to see the movie on Hulu if you guys have it, the one with Emma Thompson. and see why I'm saying that. The whole time I was thinking of Joanne in the role, and I was like, oh my God, that was missed. That was missed. Joanne did this in class and she didn't do it, and she's on a big set. Oh my God, what's happening? What's happening? I can't watch it. How many more minutes? Okay, shut it off. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with these people? And then this poor guy who's like this younger guy that's coming into her place. This is my critique of the film now. The young guy that everybody's like, oh my God, this new actor, he's gonna blow everybody away. So I was like, oh my God, let me see what he brings to it. So he's supposed to be this guy that Emma Thompson, for the first time in her life, being an older woman, opens herself up after her husband just passed, and she's decided she wants to learn what it's like to live, to fully live. So this guy comes in and he goes, why don't you come and dance with me? He says. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to see a private moment of the dance. This guy is going to open her up and she's going to feel relaxed. He gets up. Come dance with me. Let's be free. I'm like, dude, what, this is free?
There's
Like,
no
first of all,
freedom.
they're like this. And then she's kind of like coming to him. Why did he didn't earn you going to him. You just went to him because the script says now she goes to him because the line was said and I'm supposed to be free. He didn't make you feel free because he's not free. Why did you go? You should have said, I'm not coming. I need another escort. Are you an escort? Do an improvisation. You're supposed to be an escort. I would have been taking his arms up. And I'm sure it's going to be nominated because, you know.
Because it's her.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
That's the truth. I'm so sorry. I mean, what's the difference between Emma Thompson and the actors that I'm talking about? And now I'm talking about Joanne because she's the one that came into my head just because of the, you know, the risk taking. Anyway, thank you, Joanne, so much. Who wants to go next with one memorable, changing or surprising moment?
We do like class, nobody.
What happens in class, Loredana? Who wants to go next? We can talk about something else. What do you guys want to talk about?
I actually have two memories. One is from maybe one of the first class that I had. When I speak with someone that doesn't do theater, it's what I generally say to let these people know what we do. It was the day in which you brought a veil in the class, like a big veil that we needed to do something else with it. And you remember, and that was the moment in which I was surprised of myself. I was surprised of what I did. I was surprised of how I did it. And I was surprised of how much affected me what I did. Because, I don't know if you guys remember, like when I got this veil, I made it like a person to me. So I was dancing with this person. Then there was a scene of trying to resuscitate this person. I don't know, was so intense that then I started to cry while I was doing the scene, and even after, without even I didn't know that I was going to go there. For me, it was just like ending us this veil, do what you want. I didn't know what I was going to do. So this is something that stayed in my memory for long. And when someone that doesn't do theater wants to know what we do, this is the type of memory that comes to my mind, and I tell them. The second one.
Let me just make a comment to this moment, because I remember it as if you were yesterday. I'm so glad that you went to this. We were in the dance room, in the big dance room. Mm-hmm. That's where it happened. What you just described, Loredana, is what moment-to-moment work is, without expectations to have an emotion. People seem to think that actors work towards having an emotion, so they have to put themselves into the mindset where they go, oh, I have to cry. If you do that, you will never cry. If you say, I have to laugh, you'll never be able to laugh. The moment-to-moment work goes back to Stanislavski, Russia, the guru, the inventor of the first manual for actors, to Strasbourg, the actor studio. When you leave yourself alone, but you're doing the work that is so required, which is you have to be so specific to what the veil is. You have to use your senses, which you did, even if you're not conscious all the time of what senses you're using, but you're using the visual to transform the veil from the touch, which was in the beginning, to a person that was someone to you that then you had to go and save the life of. All of us in that room believed that. The emotion came out of your moment to moment to moment to moment work. Then most actors who are just mediocre actors don't do. They go and they keep their eyes open like this for 2 minutes. And then if you do that, you start crying. And then there's no feeling. Close your freaking eyes. You're scaring the hell out of me. Why do you not blink? As much as that surprised you, it was as surprising and it was so moving. There's times when these moments happen. There's the silence that takes place in the room from the people watching. It's almost like you're afraid to mess up that silence with applauding, because the whole atmosphere in the entire energy of the room shifted. And that's the power of you putting yourself in a situation where you are taking responsibility for you as a human being when you get up to do acting. It doesn't matter that you do a classroom. It doesn't matter you do it in front of 5 people or 1,000 or 1,000,000. Strasberg said, you have to put the same value on what you do as an actor because you are representing humanity. You are illuminating the human spirit. If you don't want to take that seriously and assume the responsibility, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Go home. Do something else. There's so many other things that you can do. So to see you do that was breathtaking, moving. What you were able to do with a black veil. And it was this material that if anybody else would have seen it, it's like it's a material. The term significant object. How do we react when we touch something that we endow with something that means something to us? It can be transformed by someone who does brilliant work like you do into anything, and we will freaking believe it. It was beautiful. The second one, because I interrupted you.
Because this one was like without using words. Then the one using words that surprised me is the scene that I did with Joanne of mother-daughter. It really surprised me how I react to it, which kind of daughter I was that, doesn't really match with the daughter that I am. All this type of thing that's somehow, they were tapping in some part of me, but I was discovering them in that specific moment. Sometimes I still watch the record of this because I see even Joanne, like we were two different people. I don't know how to say it, but strong, very powerful moment. That's what
it was so powerful. And you see, it doesn't even matter where the platform is because we did it on Zoom. Most people say, how are you going to do acting online? You can't do acting online. Yes, you can. Because that was during the pandemic. We were doing the classes on Zoom, and there was this powerful moment where, we keep talking about the qualities that you have to have as an actor, responsibility that you're representing humanity. But at the same time, by representing humanity, you have to represent the bad part of humanity, the ugly side. And that's where you went. And it was so powerful because I would never see you do that in real life. And then to see that, and then to see the response from Joanne and the hurt and the pain, and you still went after her in a way that was like, ooh. I still have goosebumps when I think of it because I recognize that I have those feelings inside of me, even though I did not act on them, but I have them. And I'm ashamed of knowing that I have them, but recognizing them in other people is almost like a reassurance or reassurance that it's okay. We're all humans. We have the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we just have to strive for the good, but we have to also tap into the bad and the ugly because that's the truth. That's the whole truth and nothing but the truth, I'm so glad now knowing that you guys have some of the material that I was able to capture. I mean, of course, it's nothing compared to having a whole team to capture everything, but at least it's something. Yeah, those were amazing moments. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Yes, Kat.
Long time ago, I did a scene where I was on top of a box. Like these two black boxes stacked on each other. And I got up there and I did a scene and I didn't say anything. The scene was in silence. And I really do enjoy acting in silence because I think, to Ella's point, that you can really do a lot in silence. You don't always need to speak. And that scene that I did, there were so many different elements within my eyes that it sort of just had the story. And when I was trying to get off the boxes, I accidentally fell. I fell over. And I didn't actually mean to do that, but as I was falling, I was thinking, wow, this is actually quite perfect. And I think I ended up hurting my foot, but it wasn't a big deal. But the process of getting up after that fall also played in that scene.
Wow.
I think it was so powerful having seen your work, Kyle, for so long now, and you're always bringing to it so much energy, and you're so good with objects, and you're so physical. To have seen you still for that long a time is so powerful. I think that's why we're afraid of being in those pauses, because sometimes the exposure that you allow yourself for the people to see inside of you are those moments when you're silent. There's no covering. You know, you can't cover yourself with the way that I move, or the fact that I'm going to say something that's smart. I'm going to keep talking because at least I'm going to cover myself, and I'll let everybody know that I have a lot to say about acting. Because if I were to shut up like you did, Kyle, I can only do it for so long. And I feel like, oh my God, that's not sufficient. We don't think we're sufficient. And for you to pass that point, I don't know if you remember from that moment, did you ever think, oh my God, I should be saying something because this is too much?
The only thing, I mean, one of the things I remember is you had said something. I think you said, get off the box. And I heard you and I nodded my head. And then you said it again. And then that's when I tried to get off the box and I collapsed.
I'm sorry for you hurting your foot. I didn't even know.
Oh, no,
that.
no. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. Yeah.
That was powerful. It was in the theater and you were sitting very close to the audience. Oh my God. So crazy, because I don't remember things that I did myself. But then these moments when you just start to discuss them and you bring them up, I feel like I'm seeing them right now. Another one, Kyle, that really, no matter how much, you know, I've seen you do a lot of great, amazing work. Another one was when there was a moment, I think it was still in the dance studio, and you became this child. Joanne, do you know? Do you remember, Kyle? I don't know what the challenge was or what we were working on, to be honest, but you walking and transforming into the inner child, the little Kyle. Joanne and I remember you there, Joanne, as audience member. When something happens, we're like, oh my God, 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 oh my. Do you remember that, Kyle?
I remember it was ironic because that day I was wearing a suit. I don't wear suits that often, but that day I just happened to be wearing a suit.
How amazing to do that without even you knowing that that's what you were going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it was first your work, but then it was the fact that you look so much like an adult. But that inner child is still in us. And, you know, they say the creative part of us is the inner child, the little child that's still at play, if you only just give them the permission to do so and to see that. We don't even have to get up from our chairs as the audience members because we feel liberated. I wish that guy in that movie, which I'm destroying now, the movie, would have done the child, you know. First of all, I was like, dude, why are you wearing these pleated pants? Are you in the 80s? Is this a movie taking? Make some kind of justification. What's your issue? There's so much covering of emotions and so much, and the movie's about liberating oneself. I wish that somebody would have told the guy when you come in, wear the suit. And Kyle, you and Joanne would have been brilliant in that. But, you know, and this guy, I like him. I don't want to feel like I'm personally attacking anybody, because I'm not attacking. But it's just not fair because, you know, we just deserve so much more as audience. I feel that was powerful, Kyle. That was, oh my God, that was so powerful. Oh, chills, chills. No, seriously, chills. You know, it's so important that we always know that these powerful moments, you guys are going through them, but they're riveting because they're helping others. It's not just you that you're having a successful experience or a transformative. It's because there's one person, two people, three, four, five. But that's a huge impact to have. Think about it. It's amazing. Thank you. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Yes.
I don't want to be last. There were so many moments, but the last moment, the last class we did when I did that Southern lady, Joanne, because I talked to one on the phone today or whatever, Joelle. That's a character that I've been playing with for a while in my mind. And I have friends that we talk back and forth in this particular character. So at some point, this character is going to get, become more evolved. But I was glad to be able to do it in front of you guys and not be afraid, because I knew it wasn't all the way there, but I wanted to air her out and see what it felt like to do her in front of, and I don't like the way that sounds, in front of people.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate your encouragement. Also, in the very beginning, I think I did some improv scene about a coworker. And I was extremely angry. And I know that was the first time I met you guys. And I said, oh my God, they're going to think that I am like a maniac. No one's going to want to be my friend when they see this. But also I used it as a way to express that and get that out. Sometimes I like being the bad guy. I often said, for all the thoughts that I have inside of me, I would love to play a villain. And I mean a real one. Just because I think I can reach that range, but I need more training and all of that, and I understand that. So I appreciate the safe space, the opportunity to express a new character, and just just having that opportunity and having an audience.
The difference between the first time that you did it and the second time you did it, you
Yes.
remember, which was take a little bit of time, Steph. Give yourself that opportunity to take some time when you enter. Do you remember? And you completely changed everything. You brought so much to it. I think it's so important that we don't try to hide the parts that we think are not going to be likable to the public in everyday life, because by suppressing those, I don't think that they will ever be healed or will ever be illuminated. Therefore, from the darkness, there will be light, even if we don't know that we have them underneath. That character, and I love that character so much because it gave you that opportunity to go far away from that persona that you, Stephanie, want to portray, the public persona, or the one that I want to portray. So the further you go from that, the more you have to actually tap into the selves that you have no idea how they're going to react when tapped into. And I think in the two times that I remember seeing it, from the first with just a few adjustments that you made, it became so much more specific. It became so much more inside of you rather than this character outside of yourself. Even though it starts, like you said in the beginning, you start with something that you think is going to be far away from you. It's not like me. But then you realize, oh my God, the more you go and do it, do her, like you said, and it's okay to say that, the more you realize that you're not doing anybody outside of yourself. You're kind of getting at you. You're tapping into who you are, the parts that we don't have the opportunity in everyday life, in an entire life to show. And they need to be let out. And I think that was beautiful. But then I also love the moment of you with the dancing, the freedom of the dancing, but then also the freedom of the stillness, going back to what Kyle said, when I kept saying you have such a power on stage, Stephanie, when you leave yourself alone and you just trust that standing there on that stage and taking ownership of that stage the way that you did, when we don't think that it's sufficient because we're not doing anything. It is so much more sufficient than we can even imagine to the people watching. To ground yourself, to say, I belong, without saying I belong, to let it be part of your thought process. And even if I don't have anything interesting to say, you better be watching me. That's like, it's about trust in that moment, just in the moment, that who you are in that particular second or 1 minute, who you are is more than sufficient, more than enough. And to stand in that,
it's like living another life.
Lives, so many other lives that other people in one lifetime don't even get to scratch at. oh, beautiful physically to watch you, beautiful presence, beautiful, strong, you know, who doesn't
Yeah.
want to be strong? And to get a glimpse of that, just watching that in you and to know that it's possible, it gives you hope. And I go back to what I was saying earlier, hope that I'm strong enough that no matter what happens, all the fears that I have, even if they come true, I'll have the strength that I'll be able to know how to take them on, because she, Stephanie, is showing me that that strength exists. It's so palpable. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now I have to add it. Do you know how many I have when I add it? And then I watch these people on TV. I'm like, stop saying because I'm upset that I do it. It goes back to what we were saying about the silence. Instead of just becoming aware of it and not saying it, and think of what my next thought is and go to it. We want to feel the silence. That's how hard it is to be in the silence. We want to feel it by, let's link the thoughts by, it's much better. Say nothing. Jonathan.
To take it back to what I was saying earlier, I don't like the improv, but when I do it, there have been a lot of times that I've had to improv a scene for whatever, and I go in thinking, I'm going to hate this isn't going to be good, because I have no idea what I'm going to do. And after a little prodding, I manage to do something, and I get into it, and it feels great. It feels like I actually accomplished something big with whatever the subject of the scene was.
Yes, I agree with that. And you turn out to be so much more humorous, which comedy is so difficult to do. When we're talking about commitment, moment to moment, you have to commit yourself double or triple to bring out the comedy. I agree that you bring so much to the improvisation. And another moment for me that will stay from you is your scene, the scene with Loredana. You have played, what's the guy's name from Nina Variations?
Triplet.
You played Treplev for all the Ninas when Kyle was away at work.
Yes.
Again, Treplev, go with Stephanie Nina, go with Loredana Nina, go with Joanne Nina. And you were there to support them. You never said no, but not only did you not say no, you brought so much to it. And the moment is stuck with me and it's still blowing my mind. Is the scene when Loredana comes in and you're like,
Close the door. Close the door.
close the door. And she goes, no, close the door. And you're like,
Close the window. I closed it. Close it.
I close it. Close the window. And you're like,
That's funny.
wasn't that brilliant? Did you guys remember that, Loredana? Did you? Oh my God.
Yes.
All of your scenes, you guys. I'm so glad that we
That's
got to
funny.
do all of those scenes and we got them filmed, because there are moments, I'm telling you, if you watch any of your favorite movies that are supposed to be like the best movies, please find me as many extraordinary moments as you guys had on the films that we were able to capture you in. There's not a difference between the people who do this all the time. You're not doing this all the time. I'm not doing this all the time. So I give myself credit when I get up in a class and I do acting, because I don't do it all the time. And it's like any other profession. It's like any other thing. If you don't do it all the time, it should be more difficult. When with you is the opposite. These people who do it all the time, they're like, let's dance. I'm a squirrel. I'm just the animal. I'm doing the squirrel. Let's dance. Don't you feel free? Do you want to have sex now? Yeah, now I feel free. Now I've never had an orgasm, but with you dancing like a squirrel, I'm gonna have an orgasm. Okay, Emma Thompson, I'm gonna believe that. Yeah, go ahead, have an orgasm.
There was a scene with Jonathan. It was Jonathan and Loredana and myself, and we were both seducing him. One was on one side of him, and his facial expression, it was just so funny because we both were pulling at him and trying to seduce him, and he was just standing there like, oh my God. I thought that was funny. And the subway scene with Kyle, I'll never forget it.
Also, I want to say the scenes that Jonathan did around the piano, they were brilliant. Two sisters.
Two
Oh.
sisters and a piano. He came as a piano repairman with the shoes. I'm here to repair the piano,
Really?
ma'am. And then with the shoes and the other character, you were supposed to give him shoes because you didn't have money to pay him. And you were
Right.
tickling him, or he was being ticklish, and he couldn't stand to have the shoes being put on his feet. And that was so funny. Okay, last question. What do you wish to say to people about acting for them to understand it better so they don't have the misunderstanding of it? Do you think that acting the way that I see it, that's being a powerful tool? Do you see it now being used in other professions, or do you think that it should be? Is that a stupid question? I don't know what to ask. Here I go. At this time in our lives, with everything that's happening in the world, do you feel that more people would understand that we are more united than divided if acting was more understood? I feel that if more people would see your work, to have seen the moments that we discussed and also the moments that we have not talked about, I think that they will walk out, those people, being more aware of the fact that there is more that unites us than what divides us. Do you agree or disagree?
I definitely agree, because you relate to each other differently. We have our masks on all day, every day, and this allows us to lower it somewhat. And I might see someone and you may not have anything in common with me, but when we are in a scene together and we have to rely on each other, it builds some kind of a bond. And even though it may be temporary, it doesn't have to be forever, we're friends for life, but there is a bond that is created when you lower the mask. And some people would say that acting is putting on a mask. That's true too, sometimes, but in order to be authentic, you really have to dig deep. It's more human. The humanity is there. So you forget, oh, I don't have anything in common with this person. It doesn't matter, because when we're doing the scene, we're Treple and Nina. So, and you get a moment to like put your life down and pick up another life and look at life through somebody else's eyes and walk in their shoes for a moment. And it's refreshing. So you don't have to want to be an actor. Maybe you just need a reboot or a refreshment of yourself.
Stephanie, that's so beautifully articulated. Oh, last words before we go.
You won't know until you try.
Courage, a step forward, and then you'll see.
Viola Davis, I'm going to paraphrase her when she was asked about courage. How do you get the courage to play these bold characters? Where do you find that in yourself? Are you afraid? Do you feel fear? Oh my God, all the time. I'm afraid. So how do you go about it? I'm paraphrasing her. She says, fear topped with prayer equals courage. Prayer can mean prayer to a higher power, prayer to whomever you believe or have faith in, or it could be even a part of yourself that you look up to, or the character, looking up to the character rather than bringing the character down to you.
And she really answers your question of, can just watching someone do that, be courageous, have an impact on you? Because that makes me think of the scene that she did. I think it was in the TV series where she...
Oh yeah, How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah, I'll never forget that scene because she took off her wig and she took off her eyelashes and she just stripped down her essence. I mean, I remember thinking, wow, if she could do that, I could do that. We can just be ourselves.
It's taking off the mask, like you just said, Stephanie. You know that she talks about that, Joanne, in the interview with Oprah. And guess whose idea it was to do that private moment? It was hers. It wasn't the producers. It wasn't the director. They didn't know because they're stupid. I'm taking their stupid out. But I'm just saying, because I do this. I videoed myself for like 2-3 hours and then only 1 hour remains because the cursing goes out. But I get so into it. She speaks about it, Joanne, and I'm so glad that you brought that. She said that it was the first time, no matter that she had been gaining a lot of success up to that series, she didn't feel in herself that she could say, this is what I believe. This is the choice that I want to make for my character. She had to bring herself to that strength and that motivation inside of her to say, I think she should have a private moment where she takes the mask off. the producers who are so within the box. They want to show the same bed, dancing, squirrel. They like that because they don't want to be made fools of, because they know better. Instead of accepting that, you know, like they accept Viola, that she might know something that they don't.
They allow certain actors, though, to do things like this Tom Hardy character. I was watching Peaky Blinders, which is on Netflix. Huh, brilliant. But they allow certain people to try different things because they know more than likely, like, who's going to stop Tom Hardy? He's great.
Because they're bringing the money, you know?
Yeah.
No, listen
Yeah.
to somebody who doesn't yet, because you don't know. They just might a lot more than what you think.
This just reminded me of something else that Katharine Hepburn has said, that life is terrifying. Life itself
So
is
true.
terrifying. And so I think if you can hit moments of courage in the acting, it just gives you that little bit of prep for the stuff that comes at you, just a normal life. You know, not only, you know, the joys, but the loss and the sadness and the taking all that together in life, taking the good and the bad and rolling with it. It does take a certain amount of courage to do it in a balanced way.
Yeah, this is a lot and I appreciate it so much. So last words.
Say it's hard work, but it's worth it completely, because even if you're not doing it professionally, it's very fulfilling.
And you've been doing it for such a long time in musicals, in our class, in the other classes. You've been doing it since you were a little child.
Yeah.
That's amazing. To stay committed to something that takes a lot out of you sometimes and you keep doing it. Thank you, Jonathan. Loredana, you want to say anything?
I think what I just said, it's the courage of trying. It's, you know, it's what makes it worth it. Just the courage, and then you feel so liberated, then it's so therapeutic. And yeah, I still remember, like, after the class coming home, I feel like my steps were like lighter, even though it took out of me like a lot emotionally, but then I felt like so relaxed and full of joy, and really my steps were lighter in coming back home. So yeah, that's what I think.
Sometimes, you know, I'll remember what I tell you guys or what I share with you in the class. Okay, I want you to move in a way where you're moving your hips. So when I'm walking down the street and I forget to move my hips, like I'm being kind of closed in, then I'm like, what about moving my hips a little bit? Let me move my hips. And then you start people looking. People look and they're like, hi, hi. I don't mean like in a vulgar way, just opening myself up rather than kind of walking like this, you know, I'm walking and I'm closing and you just open yourself up. And by the time I do, I don't know how many meters, it's exactly what you said. I have a smile on my face without even thinking that I was going to smile. Everything just opens up, and the appreciation of being in that moment and giving myself that permission to not hide. That's all that matters. I come home and it changed my whole day. That little reminder, open up, open up. You guys, thank you so much.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you.
I miss you guys so much. I thank you so much. This means so much to me that you all said yes. This is long overdue. I've been waiting for this. It's been a long time coming. I'm so glad that you guys are the 50 episodes of Hey Stella podcast.
Yeah.
You're always welcome. Just let me know, because I usually don't have guests. People don't want to come on, so I talk to myself all the time. So this for me, oh my God, not one guest, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you kidding me?
All right.
Thank you everyone so much. Kisses.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.